Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I hope I can live up to the expectations, because my first meeting with We Are Museums was, in fact, while looking for other people with a museum background and how they are handling this crisis, because I was at a loss of ideas and overwhelmed with problems and challenges. So and then luckily I found you and this community via Twitter and some other research online. I'm really happy to be here, and I just give you a short presentation of my museum. So I'm a museum director. Now you should see the slides. I'm a museum director of the Museum of Nature, South Tyrol, since close to 2 years now. My background is not a museum background. As a matter of fact, I am an astrophysicist by profession, and I worked in science communication for 6 years or so in a small planetarium, and then I participated in this call because the museum was looking for a new director, and for some weird reason I won, and I'm really happy about it. So the museum is located in northern Italy. I showed you a map on Europe map. You're about 3 hours drive away from Milan, 3 hours drive away from Munich, more or less. So you have an idea. We belong to Italy, as I said. We are a bilingual, trilingual region, as a matter of fact, which is why all our official communication has to be done at least in 2 languages, Italian and German, which is also why you hear this Arnold Schwarzenegger slang, maybe. Culturally wise, I'm more connected to Austria than to Italy, probably. So in the far right corner, you see this building, which is actually the museum. It was constructed in the late 1400s by the Imperator Maximilian, an Austrian imperator at the time. And since 1997, this building is now the Museum of Nature in southern Tyrol. We are located in Bolzano. The city has about 100,000 people, inhabitants, 100,000. The whole region, South Tyrol, has roughly 500,000, half a million more or so. In Trento, which is about a half an hour away from us, to driving south. Maybe some of you know the Muse, which is a very super big museum about science in general. It was opened a couple of years ago, and it's our probably biggest concurrent on the market, the biggest competitor, if you so will. We're not talking about competitors, but they are newer, better, fresher, and so people are tending to visit them and not us anymore. But I'll show you in a couple of seconds. Let's see if this goes on. Yeah, so the museum itself is publicly funded by the province. We are part of a bigger operation, which is called Betrieb Landesmuseen Südtirol, or Azienda Musei Provinciali in Italian. It's a collaboration of 10 big museums in our region. Among those is also the Ötzi Museum. It's not called the Ötzi Museum, but it's the Iceman, the mummy, which was found couple of years back in the Alps, frozen, and it's 5,000 years old, and it's exhibited there. So we belong to this community of 10 museums, and we have one budget. So all these 10 museums have one budget, and every year it's a bit of a struggle. Well, not a struggle, but a discussion who gets what. We are located in South Tyrol, as I said, which is in itself a very heavily touristed area. Some might even say overcrowded or over tourism is a hashtag which is now making its rounds, because the Dolomites are very close to our location, and they're heavily visited by tourists all over the world. And we plan our reopening now on Tuesday, May 19th. So in a week from now, and these last couple of days, they were really intense because we are still trying to follow suit to all the security guidelines, which officially do not even exist as of yet. So we are trying to orient ourselves a bit to our Austrian and German colleagues and see how they are organizing their security guidelines. We were a bit surprised about the date. So officially by the government, we are allowed to open our houses from May 18th onward, which came to us as a surprise, because Italy was heavily affected by the coronavirus, and we expected that this date was way far away into the future. But anyway, now it's May 18th. We still have not the security guidelines, but we try to manage as best as we can. Now, just to give you some numbers, we have about 60,000 visitors each year, out of which are 50 to 60% locals, which is a good percentage, as I would say. We have 900 school classes each year. We are relatively well known for our laboratories. Our permanent exhibit, I will show you later, is super old. Nobody is visiting our museum because of the exhibit we have, but rather because of our laboratories, which we offer in a personal setting. So the school classes come and they are then guided for 1.5 hours, more or less, by our educators. We have, it depends how you count them, but roughly 40 internal collaborators. We have several different types of contracts. Italian bureaucracy is a bit strange, but anyway, there's about 40 people working for our museum and in our museum. We are our second pillar besides science communication is also research. We are currently involved in 9 research projects, and in 2018 we published over 30 papers. Not when I say we, I mean my scientists, my researchers in the museum. So here you have just to give you an idea about the exhibits. It's 900 square meters, the permanent exhibit, divided on 2 floors, which talks mainly about the geology and the habitats of our region. And it's super old, like it's 20 years old. Before Corona hit, I was sort of like thinking about, and I also had a sort of semi promise to have the possibility to renew the permanent exhibit, but this is now gone, this option. So because financially we cannot afford it any longer, and so we live with this exhibit a while now. And the one highlight of the exhibit itself is one coral reef aquarium, which is well loved by our visitors, especially by the families with small children. And you might ask, why do we have a coral reef aquarium in here in southern Tyrol? The reason is the Dolomites, this mountainous this rock, which forms very well-known mountains, was a coral reef a couple of 100 millions of years ago, and we try to present how this reef was formed at the time and how from this reef it became the Dolomites. We have also one temporary exhibit, which we try to change a couple of times each year, 3 to 5 times. It depends on the exhibit. We have 220 square meters for that. And here one problem arose a while ago, way before my time. So we had 3 very, very good going exhibits: the snakes, the spiders, and small chicks, like the from the animal chicks. And the problem is that now our museum, whenever you talk about our museum with the public, the first answer I get, yeah, you work there where the snakes are or where the chicks are, because every time around Easter we presented those chicks, and people could come and touch them and feed them, and it was very famous for children all over our area. In fact, so famous that we had it like 5 years ago, the last time, more or less, and still up to this day, each time around Easter, we get calls, and when do you have it the next time? And we are just known for that, just for the chicks, the snakes, and the spiders, which is a bit annoying. And it's good that people know us, but we do much, much more than just the snakes, the chicks, and the spiders. But this is one of the main problems that I'm facing, to try to get across that the museum does a lot more than just showing special exhibits about chicks. In fact, we host several collections, geology, zoology, and botany, which we have another challenge because our building is not adequately equipped to host these collections. We are waiting, like the museum was waiting for more than 15 years to get a very good depot for its collections, but up to this day it was just promises but no realizations of this depot. So we tried to conserve our collections as best as we possibly can, but it's very frustrating for our conservators, curators. We also, as I said, do a lot of research, also publishing in high impact journals, and this is our just to give you an idea about our research areas, it's paleontology. As you can imagine, in the Dolomites, we find a lot of fossils. We have, however, also some zoology and botany research projects currently going on. Now, first, and during the presentation round, somebody told someone is very interested in digital, and I have to say we are as undigital or as analog as it can possibly get, probably. And due to Corona, we had now the first incentive to actually do something about that. And so we updated our website. The last one we had was from 2005. It was so bad, like really bad. Like imagine a website which is now more than 15 years old. Like you don't even find it online, probably, such a website. And finally we got a new one. Unfortunately, up to now only in German and Italian. The English version is still out, but at least we present our website in a new look. Socials, we don't have, so in our museum, we don't have a communications office, which is very bad. I personally manage the socials like Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp Business as good as I possibly can. But I'm not an expert either, so this is it's kind of tough. And this is also very frustrating when you participate in these webinars, for instance, We Are Museums or others, where you have all these super cool museums with very advanced projects when it comes to digital. And I get very envious and very frustrated at the same time, because I want to have this as well, but I cannot get it because A, there's no money, and B, I have not the people working on this area. So yeah, we could, and then I have to say and to add, whenever I read now those articles online, some people are very, I don't like the word elitist, but they look down on the smaller museums and they criticize them, but they don't have any idea how we operate and how we work, and this generates not envy but anger, because people on those levels, as at least that's my opinion, don't know the realities that small museums are facing, and this gets me very upset usually. We also have a podcast, which is called Mehr als Pulcini, which is a sort of German-Italian sentence, which means more than chicks. This was the name because just to show them that we to give them a look behind, behind the curtains, essentially, to show our collections, to show our research. And it's very, and this is was done by the podcast by two school students from the high school, because I didn't have the money to do it, and we did it as a school project together with a school, a linguistic school in our area. And I also added Microsoft Teams there, which is the internal digital field, because the other three are more targeted towards, obviously, the public, whereas we now, since Corona and people working from home, we started using Microsoft Teams a lot, which for us was a huge step, because like the mean age for my employees is probably around 45, 50-ish. So you can imagine was not that easy to explain how all this stuff works. And now I come probably to the most important slide, at least from my point of view. And what I would be interested in is just to share the challenges, but to hear how you dealt with similar challenges, and hear your ideas, and to get maybe some key input to get my museum to the next level. So the main challenges, I think, they can be divided in one external and one internal part. The external part is that, so now we have a loss of our main target. So as I said, we had 60% school children and some tourists, but neither of those are going to come back anytime soon. So the tourists are not here. They won't come during the summer. It's quite certain. The school children, now in Italy, school's out. Like, this school year is over. It's not officially over. There is still homeschooling. It finishes on mid of June, and then it should start going back to normal in autumn. But it's very likely and highly probable that every school excursion is not allowed by the school directorate. So we expect that no school children are going to come within the next year or so, probably. We have also a loss of our main activities, which is due to the loss of the main target. So our laboratories, which we prepared, which were very well known and loved, we cannot offer them anymore, at least not physically. This is simply due to the fact that we need to maintain our security distances. And as I said, the target group is not coming back anytime soon. We were also quite well known for our free evening lectures, conferences, which we held in our conference room for about 60 people or so, once or even twice each week. But even those are now not allowed anymore, simply due to the area restriction we are now facing. We have a general loss of income, which in our case is not as severe as probably in other houses, because we are still publicly funded, right? So, but still, one important part of our um, possibility to spend or get stuff was by selling our tickets and selling stuff in our small shop, which now it's like 2.5 months of we were closed, and this is now heavily missed income. And then we have an internal problem. Well, internal, not I don't like to call them problems, but challenges in the sense that the home office part, right? So we were forced, and rightfully so, to work from home. But the problem started already in the beginning. What is a cloud? So this is a real question that I was received, and it's okay. I mean, not everybody needs to know what a cloud is, but then imagine setting up Microsoft Teams, a cloud, a VPN for everybody, and we don't really have an ICT, so an technical help, but we do, but but they were overwhelmed with questions by other entities in the public administration. So in the end, I set up most of the laptops of my employees, which took away like surely 2.5 weeks or so, and we are still facing problems and issues. And apart from the technical issues, we also have the team building issue, in the sense that now we just see each other via virtual conferences, and this is not, it's very difficult to get the team together to work for one precise goal. Even worse, the one goal is not there anymore. At least it's very difficult to define actually at the moment. So yeah, this is one big challenge. We try to mitigate it a little bit by having some virtual coffee rounds once in a while, where everybody comes together. But as you well know, if you have 40 people, or even if it's only 20, it's difficult to share what's going on at your place, because 20 is a lot. But anyway, we try the best as we can. And then the last problem, or the last challenge, where we can actually not do much about it, is Italian bureaucracy, which might be similar, maybe in some places better, in some places even worse. It's very slow. So we are part of the public administration, as I said, and whenever we try to implement new stuff or do something new, it takes a lot of time. So we cannot react as fast as we wanted to. We are like the Titanic, which is running straight, and now it needs to change our direction by 90 degrees, which we can do, of course, but not instantly. The Titanic is a huge ship, very heavy, and it takes some time. And so so what we needed to do is react fast, but we cannot do it, and this is also a big challenge we have. So this is my general situation which I'm facing. And would be very happy to hear from you guys now. In the announcement of this webinar, it's from this meeting, it said that I found some solutions, and not really. I found we did some digital stuff now, but due to the necessity of the situation, but with essentially no budget. And so I would be glad to hear how you deal with the current situation, what your plans are for the intermediate future, for the far-fetching future. And I know that, which is why I have this fingerprint now, every museum is different, and probably everybody has different challenges, but maybe by talking and exchanging ideas, we can get some ideas for our own houses, which is the would be my goal of today. And the last slide is just this campfire, because I like the idea of getting people around this campfire to share challenges like the we are not Alcoholics Anonymous, but we are museum creators, and not anonymous, not even, but like just to see people just also if to see the other people struggling and having ideas and other concepts would be nice, and to get a new perspective on everything. And so I'd like to thank again Diane and Sandro for this possibility, and I'm done talking and done speaking. Hope I was not too fast, and yeah, thanks for listening to me.
Great, David. That was a very interesting synthesis of a typical small museum. I mean, when we speak of the museum landscape, sometimes there is a stereotypical image or idea of what a museum is, and more often than not, we tend to forget that museums are also, I mean, they do feature reality like yours. Um, there are the advantages, there are the disadvantages, as you have rightly flagged. I was going to synthesize three ideas that emerged from your presentation, and I'm sure there are many today with us who can share experiences, who can share ideas, who can react to your issues and to your challenges around this campfire. I love the idea of a campfire. I mean, that's Diane's doing, and well done for the idea. I mean, the first idea that I'd like to share is small museums. And I'd like to start with a positive note, because small sometimes is beautiful. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I mean, the Musa project in Malta was a small museum, and you end up doing lots of things. You have to be very flexible. You have to take care of your social media, even if you have occasionally, or you would be lucky to have someone to help you. But most of the things end up on your desk. Now, that obviously means a bigger workload, but it means more skills, more agility to react and to move forward in reaction to a situation. And you have also mentioned this. I mean, you don't have the guidelines, but you're looking at what the Germans are doing. You're doing at what other museums are doing or realities are doing, and you're trying to build your own way forward. The challenge is also financial. I've just posted a link to an article published on the Italian press, which concerns Florence. Now, the Florentine museums, in the Italian museum system, you have museums that are state-owned, even if they are in Florence or in a city, in any other city, and there are museums that are comunali, that belong to the comune or to the local administration. The decision that the museums, that local authorities have taken for the small museums that belong to the commune, to the local authorities, is not to open. Because I mean, when you have a situation where museums are heavily dependent on the tourist sector, it is becoming clear now that it's not worth opening, because they're going to lose money. Obviously, museums are not there to make money, but it's a Hobson's choice. You need the money to run a place. So this is a reality that will probably concern other places, other museums that attract tourists. In your case, probably 60% of locals who visit your museum might not be as acute, apart from the fact that you have the funding coming from the government as well. So it's more perhaps of a situation where such realities as yours need to rethink their operations, need to build on their strengths. The labs might be an interesting resource to develop, to expand further. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to what all the others around the campfire have to say about this reality, which is very much the case. I mean, if you look at the American situation, you have a third of these museums which will not be reopening again, and there are colleagues here, American colleagues, who might wish to comment on that. I know that Joanna had some ideas to share from Poland. Was it you, Joanna? It's the mic.
Hello. My internet connection is not so stable, so if I start to break, just wave or something. Uh, Very lovely presentation, David. I laughed all the time. I know that the spiders exhibitions are always great hits, so it's a very nice like new slogan. We're more than spiders or something. So thank you for that. Okay, so there's some points I have with notes, so I'll just go through it. Something that's getting popular now, it's like the basics of handling the safety issue. So the museums show how they are cleaning themselves, and I call it clean porn. And they're putting on Instagram, on Insta stories, like, you know, a slow-mo kind of, you know, wiping the surfaces and everything. So it's very interesting. So or they issuing how it will be done to enter the museum. So what kind of procedures you have to go through to be a visitor again. They do like this boards with rules, and I think it's very nice if you play with it. You do like a comic or you do like a little movie, and you just don't put the board in front of the entrance if there will be a queue. So you should go like farther behind. Another issue is that how we can deal if there'll be a lot of people coming in, because you know, we're afraid that suddenly there'll be again a lot of people, and of course this is a safety hazard. So I was thinking about that you should put a camera or something that will issue how many people are waiting. And I don't know how it was in your institution, but usually in Poland it was Wednesdays noon. That was the worst time for the museums. That was the most emptiest time in the museum. So maybe it's good to tell people when, you know how you call like an info line, you are 10th waiting in the line or something. So maybe you should put like a, I don't know, a widget or something. This is a good time for programmers to put like a counting thing and see how, I know that Google has it. Uh, if you go on Google Maps, you can check how many people are around your institution. And I used that when I wanted to go to the store to know how many people are there. So maybe there's something you can use to show the audience how many people are there. There's a big problem with certain objects in the museum because some of them are multimedia and touchable, and we wanted to go so far in the future that now we have to exclude those objects because they have to be wiped and cleaned, uh, and some of the institutions just put them aside because what to do. IKEA is a very nice idea because they do like roads that are separate. So it's good to do like a short, if you have a bigger building or you have a like nice garden or something outside, to make tours that you can like more people can enter, but you can go separately. So it's, or you have floors and you can divide them. Uh, you can do things outside. So institutions, there are cinema, like car cinemas, like in, I'm smiling to my American friends because in Poland it's not so popular, but we're thinking how, I saw in Germany there was a concert, car concert, and somebody was thinking about theater concert, but as well it can be exhibition like on the fence or outside. So we should go out. I don't know how it is in your countries, but here people are going to their small houses with gardens outside. So I was thinking that institution can go outside and just show something outside their building, or use like side of the building to put an exhibition. So you can use this creative forms to go outside and not to be all the time online, because you know this is my 4th webinar and meeting today and I'm dying already, so sorry for that if my English is breaking. What else? um, oh, bikes. If you didn't have a stance for bikes, now bikes are selling like crazy in Poland. I don't know if it's that in your countries, but people feel safer at bikes, of course using cars as well, but bikes mostly to travel. So to put stands, to put places that people can zip and lock their bikes. What else? Of course, there was an issue of environment. Something's breaking. No. Environment, because all the things we use are one-time thing. And I don't know the answer right now, but of course there have to be good bins to throw the gloves. I don't know how it is here in supermarkets. They're like flying, like in American Beauty. Have you seen this movie? Like, you know, they're flying this uh, gloves, plastic gloves. So it's not necessarily good for the environment. What else? I was asking, because it was a debate among like directors or vice directors of the museums, what are they planning to uplift, rise the prices of the tickets? Because, you know, you have to put all the sanitary things, and it's getting more expensive. Some of them were thinking about it. Some of them said that people will be losing their jobs, so maybe it's not a good idea to make like the tickets go up, but certainly they're thinking about it. And there's what else? I'm sorry. If I'm talking too much, just tell me.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Any feedback about audiences, about how museums are going to handle audiences, as in the case of the which concerns David now. He can only pitch for 60% of his audience now. Schools are closed. Any experiences coming from Poland? There is Loredan as well, who has something to say.
There was vice director from Polin Museum as well, the history of Polish Jews, saying that most of their like visitors were tourists, and now they have to open up for the like local community. And I think, you see, this is a bad thing. It's like we are so popular among tourists, and now it's like it's against us. Yes, so it's like the things that were working before now are getting like, I don't know, they're turning into vices, not pros. So it's a very interesting thing. Of course, I don't know. We're just starting to open up. So I think people will be inventing things on the like as it goes. And one girl said, I think this is the perfect time for UX and prototyping.
Yes, absolutely. It's the right time to test ideas.
Yes, of course, and how to make exhibitions, how to open them up, how to guide people through to not to make them meet each other, and etc. etc. And one interesting thing, the woman from Poland said that she's talking with Finnish company about product that you spray all over and you don't have to wipe the surfaces again. But the Polish, like the institutions that check the security and the cleanliness of the sanitary aspects of it, they have to check the certificates. So that could be excellent idea for not wasting environment, because if you buy this hand sanitizers is also in plastic. So I think it's good to cooperate with other institutions that are local and buy like bigger, you know, I don't know, bigger bottles or bigger something, that not to use this small kind of things. So I think like science and invention here would be also, we have to be open towards that, and I hope the prices will be more affordable to implement in our institutions. So I think that's it. Of course I forgot about something, but mostly yeah, I'm interested how it's going with you guys. Oh, and libraries. We have 3-day quarantine for the books. So they use like outside slots. So people just throw the books outside the library. So you don't have to go in. So that's an idea as well.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think Loredana had something to say, right?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you, David, for sharing your story, because the small museums. We need small museums. We need these kind of stories to be told, to be known. Secondly, I'd like to mention Sandro's webinar on Nemo, because I find it very useful in this context. And maybe you can share the link. I don't know, I've seen it yesterday on YouTube.
It's on the platform. It is on the platform. Yeah.
Okay. You, David, you were saying about having no expert in communication in your museum. And one of the good things I think about this pandemia is the fact that nobody is an expert in communication right now, because we are all experimenting with new ways of engaging with each other. So we just said from zero, just be creative and think whatever, just try it. So that would be one thing. Then about the audience and the public. Of course, museums are very much engaged with kids, teaching kids. But what means teaching today? Because nobody wants to be taught anymore, because we had enough of, with homeschooling and stuff. But what I think it's an interesting idea is to inspire kids. And you can do that by sharing your personal story. Like, I'm pretty sure kids would be very curious to learn more about people who work in museums. Just share your personal story, how you got there, what inspired you to go into that direction, to follow that profession. Because we need to educate, and not to educate, but to motivate a new generation of specialists maybe. And we could do that so easily right now. Just turn your camera on and speak about yourself and what motivates you to do your job. And I think it doesn't cost much, and it's very easy to be done. So that would be one thing, like just to go to share. It's very personal, this era that we're living now. We have access, like we share our home space with each other. It's more personal engagement. So I would go to that direction, show us museums in a more personal way, and share this kind of story, which is rather behind the scenes story, or a sneaky way, to share this kind of story. And to be more focused on your case in Bolzano region, you have there such a beautiful organization, or I don't know, event happening. I don't know if you know Centrale Fies in Dro. Centrale Fies. It's Dro. It's not far from Trento, because I've been there. They have a festival. It's been happening for years. They are doing in an ancient hydro central, something that was reconverted for artists. Contact them and just, I don't know, ask for help with them, because there are creative people working there. Probably they won't be doing their festival this summer, because this is the time that we're living in, but they might come with ideas to engage with you and to, I don't know, make you more visible, or just, I don't know, just get in contact with them. Also, you have URAC, not far. So you have researchers there from various specialties. So professions, maybe they would be willing to do some creative activities during this summer. Of course, thinking about safety and whatever, but just reach out to find people from different areas. As Jonas said, think locally, like who is close to you, and just reach out, because we have a lot of time in our hands right now, and we have so many ideas. So let's just share in easy way, not focus on the bad part, like we don't have money, we don't have I don't know, the best internet connection. Yeah, but we have phones, as Sandra, you were telling the story about, like phone calls. It's such a simple way to engage this time. So, and volunteers, like I'm pretty sure there are so many youngsters or students that would be maybe willing for the summer to just do some activity in whatever way. So maybe you can reach out to make a team of volunteers and to develop something for the fall.
Just as absurd as it may sound, unfortunately, volunteers are not allowed legally. But this is it's so crazy. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not an option. Yeah, but yeah, but thank you
Yeah,
for the other good
yeah,
points.
hopefully
Thank
something
you.
of that, I don't know,
Yeah.
might
What was
work.
the name of the festival you mentioned before?
It's Centrale Fies dot it. I can write it down in the message so you can have it there.
That would be great. Thanks.
Because it's a very beautiful community. It's not far from your place.
Fantastic. There is a very interesting comment by Kristen Gallis, who's talking about virtual field trips for students. That's wow. I mean, can you share more about that? Where is Kristen? Is she still online? Okay, seems not. Anybody would like to add to what Loredana has been mentioned? Ah, yes, good. We met. Yeah.
Actually,
Oh, yeah.
Lena is asking
Lena.
to speak since I think 15 minutes. So if you want to jump in, I think that's your turn. So we met.
Okay, thank you. Well, I raised the hand, just waiting and listening to others. So yeah, it's not a problem for me to wait. Anyway, what I wanted to say, first of all, thanks David for your presentation. So Tyrol is very known for me, a very known region. My sister lives there, and I'm there very often. And well, if not for this kind of situation, maybe I would be there right now. So yeah, I like it very much, and I visited your museum once. And I understand Italian, so yet it wasn't a problem that there were no labels in English. And yeah, I was just wondering that maybe someone who wouldn't know Italian or German would struggle understanding. But anyway, I think that if you manage to have 60% of local people as visitors, that's more important for you than tourists actually. And yeah, tourism is the topic of my biggest interest aside from museums, because that's how I actually started. I'm not the museum professional in terms of, I don't work at a museum. I worked once as a guide, but not much. I'm more in tourism area. I have experience doing digital marketing for tourist destinations and of storytelling and cultural tourism, basically, and actually involving stories about cultural heritage and museums in the story about tourism. And I came up with the idea of slow traveling last year, and now with Corona crisis, it just intensified, and I just realized that that idea could be a real deal. And yeah, what I wanted to say, it means that museums would actually focus more on their local community, just like the Museum of Nature in Tyrol, or on travelers who are staying for a longer time, because that's what I wanted to say, as I heard many comments about crowds in museums and cultural attractions. Why crowds happen? Crowds happen because of the travel trends. Like you say, oh, this is a must visit place, and everyone goes to a must visit place. And in big cities such as Rome or Paris or New York, or in, for example, in Lisbon, where I lived for a year, many people come for a very short time, just for a weekend city break, or they get out of a cruise ship to get there. And where would they go if not to famous places, they are told that they are must visit places? And for that reason, there are crowds on cultural attractions. And the concept of slow traveling means that travelers who are adopting that kind of travel practice would prefer longer trips to the same place, exploring one place is more quality, choosing maybe places that are not very expensive, that are not beyond their budget, actually, better said, or they would plan the budget for more expensive places. So it's more planning instead of just choosing random destination for short city break or something. Yeah, that's basically slow travel as opposed to the fast travel habit of kind of tourism. And the last thing about small museums and small places, that's another thing that concerns me very much. I come from Croatia, but not from Dubrovnik, as it's probably the most well-known place in Croatia, but from the north. And my area is mostly not so well known outside of this part of Europe. Very few people heard about my city of Rijeka. So we are sort of a smaller destination. And yeah, I think that there should be more consideration for smaller museums and not so much criticism, as David said, because their way of operations is not so easy. It's not so well funded, not so much money as in bigger museums and bigger places. Yeah, I hope I made some quite complicated points clear in this short speech. We don't want to speak for longer. So if anyone has another question about what I wanted to say, you are free to ask me here or on Twitter or however you want.
Thank you.
Matt, if you want to jump in.
And what Loredana said, in the sense of keeping things simple and keeping things personal. We are closed for 2 months now. We do not know when we are going to open again. And what's very important for us in the meantime is to keep the link and keep the boundary with our visitors. So we really try to give them an opportunity to express themselves on the collections, on the work of art they prefer, on their best memory, on the best drawings they've made, on the works of art that they could recreate. I'm sure you've seen the craze of Tussenkunst en Quarantaine. So the idea for us is we want to remain in contact with our visitors and give them the opportunity to express themselves about what they like about the museum. And it's also a way of spicing up the homeschooling that has been very heavy for many kids, or that has been very difficult for parents to implement. So we try to bring it, to bring a little bit of game and a little bit of entertainment in their daily routines, let's say. And as we are absolutely not sure about when we are going to reopen, what visitors are going to come back, it's very important for us to remain active and in dialogue on the social media online. And the next step will also be to try to give a new space in the museum, when it's going to be possible, to these new experiences or to this new relation that people have been building with the museum during this crisis, and to keep this very simple access to museums and to works of art. I mean, I work in the Museum of Fine Arts, so it's based on visual arts, which is mostly quite complex to approach, very scientific, quite elitist. And now in the past weeks, the positive of the crisis is that people have just expressed themselves and shared a lot of insights and very creative approach to art. So we'd like to go on and try to develop that in situ when it's going to be possible.
Great. Just a quick reaction, perhaps, because I'm sure there is so much that you can all share. And from what we've been discussing so far, how is it in your circumstances? How do you go about sharing resources, especially if you're a small museum? Perhaps Milena from the Serbian experience, or someone from our colleagues from America, perhaps they can share their experience. Is it doable, sharing resources in between museums? Is there any perspectives anywhere?
I could speak to that a little bit. Are you talking about sharing, like museums talking about in between what we're doing, so that we can work together to create things that work for our museums?
Yes, or even sharing personnel, even sharing resources. Someone who's good at a museum which is good at IT, who perhaps can support another one, and that museum can support the other museum on something else. I mean, it's knowledge sharing, it's expertise. I mean, any.
I'm not sure about like personnel necessarily. I don't know about like one person working for multiple museums right now. I haven't heard about that, but I know that like amongst, you know, my colleagues, we're talking with a lot of other colleagues at other museums locally and nationally about what they're doing and how it's working for them. Like, for example, I noticed Kristen, who I don't think is on here anymore, mentioned something about virtual field trips. And at the ICA, we're starting to explore whether or not that's something that we could be doing too. We've never done that before, but we have reached out to a couple of museums that have been piloting that to see if it's something that is possible for us. But we're trying to learn what museums have been doing. So we've reached out to a couple of museums that have piloted a program to figure out how successful it is, you know, the logistics of it in terms of how it works online. But I think there's a lot of sharing that's happening amongst different museums. But I'm not sure about personnel, like in terms of people working for different institutions. I haven't seen that happening so much.
And Milena, perhaps, yeah?
Yes, thank you for the question. Well, we are in Serbian museum institutions, actually, there is by law defined that you cannot share the personnel in between. So it is quite interesting because, and that's why I was laughing. David, thank you for the presentation. It was quite invaluable, and it is, I emotionally could somehow understand it, because also in Serbian museums, we didn't have the social PR manager, like social network PR manager for in bigger museums for a while. Like it was 5 or 7 years ago that we introduced the first office for the social networks and the website development and everything. So yes, I completely understand that one-man show in smaller museums, that you need to be a curator, but also a curator of social networks and communication, which is a bit more traditional as well. But on the other hand, I somehow realized that it is not so complicated to do it, actually. Maybe, and Sandra, I completely agree with you that when the institution is smaller, it is somehow more flexible, more easy to handle, because you don't have to wait for all the administrative things to pass and for the state to approve the budget or all the other things to do. And I had also some other comments you already mentioned, and thank you for precious ideas that you shared, all of you in the communication by now. In Museum of Yugoslavia, there is one interesting program which is called Bike Culture. And actually we ride bikes around Belgrade, and this is how we actually curate the socialist heritage or the architecture of socialism, which is in our city. Also, we have another tour, which is outside as well. It is called the Recognition of the Museum Surrounding. And we actually climb on the neighbors' buildings across, which are done by the same architect as our museum building, the main museum building. He has done the whole complex of the buildings around. So it is maybe something connected to the neighborhood, because we are now speaking about those localities and turning to the local audience more. Maybe those tours could help, as we have a beautiful collection, as I've seen from the presentation, maybe some, I don't know, lab outside of the building, or bicycle driving to see those living creatures now in some wood around or somewhere, I don't know. And also, yeah, I run the tango school and tango festival for more than 10 years now. So I will make the parallel now in between the cultural institution or a tango school, which is actually creating one of the big international festivals. We had a big problem now how to finance our stuff inside, because, okay, I don't work just in the tango school, but there are 10 people who live just from tango and who needed to close the school now, but also the festival. What we found out is that actually Facebook platform is quite easy to handle with when you are having some online like sharing, so also some online discussions. So we invite actually international tango dancers, and we organize discussions online. Of course, now they started the online school through Zoom. platform as well, but also we had the festival online because people dance from their own, like couples dance from their own homes and shared it. So maybe, yeah, maybe we could be creative also in that sense to somehow share, as you already had in the comments, to share something from the inside of the museum. Sandro, you had a great idea on guided tours, which are more personal, or actually more devoted to one man or to a smaller group, which is also could be also creatively done in a quite interesting sense to make it for different segments of audiences. So yes, I also completely agree that not everything needs to be virtual, and you also came across all those researchers that actually people are not interested in the virtual tours, so maybe we can improvise more with what we have. Thank you.
That was quite a surprise, and I'm sure that smaller museums were having a sign of relief in a way, you know, because most of them wouldn't have. So absolutely, I think Charlampos had some ideas to share, right?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm coming from another part of the world. Actually, I'm currently in the Saudi Arabia, in the middle of the desert, actually, in Riyadh. So I thank you very much for the presentation. It was really very real, actually, the whole situation and the challenges. But discussing here, being a situation that I'm thinking how museums will be in general, how culture and creative industry will be in the future, and how these experiences that we will have, we used to have, will change in the future. I see the things in another way, let's say, because we will go back to the opening of the museums, and we will go back to the having new exhibitions and all this, but I don't think that we will have the same way of experiences due to not coronavirus, but because we will change behaviors. And this is a big factor of how we keep sustainable our institutions. The point that I wanted to mention is that for many years, the last 20, 30 years, museums try to diversify their income by creating different offering when the visitor arrive in their doorstep. I think now is the time that the museums needs to create a diversified income by having offering without the visitors to arrive in their doorstep. And this is actually the key point. In the presentation, we heard that you have a very good team of educators. I mean, the educators the whole Italy, the whole Europe, the whole world is locked down. For sure, people that they have families, young kids, they're looking for different actually activities, more educational oriented activities to do at home. They can have these activities by paying a small fee, exactly as they do for Netflix or we do for other, let's say, online offering. But what I see and I don't participate only in the groups about museums, that is my background, but also theaters and in general creative industry, is that the industry is not ready to go in this direction. The industry is not ready, while we have the skills. I mean, our people, researchers, curators, events organizers, educators, all of them, they are ready to do things in a different way. The thing is that we need to have this click, this connection with technology that is missing from our sector in general. I think this is what is missing. But we have to go in this direction. We cannot pretend that we will go back in 6 months, 1 year, and everything will be the same. It will not be the same. And still, the people need their job. The people will work and will be creative to find other opportunities inside their institution to keep the institution alive. So I think with your team, you have 45 people. You need to make a group or think tank workshop, let's say, okay, what else you can offer with a small fee to your visitors. You have so many nice initiatives that you have in your physical space. I'm sure, I mean, as I hear, and I'm not in your position, but as I was hearing the presentation, half of them easily can be moved in a digital format and have a small fee. In the same way, as from the moment your visitor is walking, take the car and come to your museum and and pay for a ticket, why to not pay for a small fee if he's in his couch and watch something that you have prepared? I mean, I understand all the challenges, but I think we have to see the things in a different way, let's say, and and without forgetting who we are, without forgetting our principles and our core, let's say, mission that we have. But we have to see the things in another way. This is, I don't know if I can be more specific on the challenges that you have, because we're really, you remind me myself a few years ago that I was facing more or less the same thing. So I feel you very well, but be in another situation right now that we don't have. I mean, in Riyadh, we are building, we are part of the Vision 2030 that we are building actually the ecosystem, the creative industry ecosystem. There are no cultural infrastructure, there is no cultural industry. The Ministry of Culture is just 1.5 years old. So everything is new here. And we are preparing actually the creative industry of tomorrow. So, and how you make this when you don't have benchmarks, you don't have ecosystem, you don't have anything, which is another kind of challenge, let's say.
Yeah.
But, and in some way, these countries like Saudi Arabia, like Emirates, like, I mean, the countries that they are building now, they start building now the creative ecosystem and the culture ecosystem. They're quite lucky because of the coronavirus, because they don't have really heavy infrastructure to support. So from this perspective, they're lucky. Also, they're lucky because we can see where the whole system is problematic. And from my perspective, trying to see not only European examples, but global examples. I speak with colleagues from US, from China, from Japan. The problem is that our industry in general is not I would say in another way, wait the visitors to come in our venue. I think we have to change this. This is the right moment, actually. We are very good to do in parallel things. We are very good to create new things that we will have online, and we will be we will have also in the real time. For example, it's not related with museum, but you can take it as an idea. I mean, what we're discussing right now is we say, okay, if we have hologram and virtual reality and artificial intelligence technology, in 5 years, this will be the mainstream because of the coronavirus. It was planned to be after 8 years, and now everything comes more close to today. So we say, okay, if I have a performance in a theater, how can I have visitors, can I have audiences in their home with their VR sets, looking at my theater production, feeling that they are there because we have augmenting, we have holograms and VR experience, and pay the same fee or pay a small fee. Without them to fly, without them to take the car, without them to take. Of course, I will have the audiences in the theater. For sure, I will have the audiences in the theater. But somehow, we are trying to think, okay, how we can use technology, creating with the same offering, the real offering, we can have also something in parallel. I think this is something, and why I'm saying this in the small museums, because I have worked in small museums many years of my life. The small museums, they have many challenges, but you have also sometimes the flexibility to take decisions much faster than a big organizations. So I think you have to take the advantage of this flexibility.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're close to the end. Perhaps one last comment, one last reaction. I mean, David, hopefully this has inspired you.
Yeah, a lot, and thanks for all the ideas and input that I have. If when I was looking down, I was just taking notes, so it was not disrespectful to anybody, just writing down.
Everybody was.
And no, the one main issue, as you said, is the monetization, how to monetize the stuff we do. But my opinion is a little bit different. I think that what is the museum, like how are we different than any other cultural institution that does some online videos and providing content with payment? We are heavily connected to the object, right? So we have an object that people come to see in a museum. So the question now is, if people don't come, and I agree, there will be a cultural change. People are not as likely to go into a building to see stuff. But then the question becomes how to get the object to the visitors or to the public, not only doing digital things, because everybody can do digital, but how can you get the physical object, or how can you get in touch, so to say, with the physical object? And I think this will be a main challenge. And I withheld from you during my presentation one solution, because one idea we had was to get some sort of a citizen science box. Essentially, we develop a box for school children, which we can sell to the class. People can get out into the wild, collect data, and be in touch with nature. And we then use this data for our research projects. So and people are involved a lot longer with something they buy, because I'm not convinced that if you provide content with payment, I think it's very difficult to get people to pay. I mean, they do it for Netflix, I agree, but even still, I mean, I go to a website and I have my ad blocker on, and when I am on a news site where I need to pay, for me at least, it's very unlikely that I pay for this service, because I know that I get it on some other site for free. So I'm not of the opinion that selling these digital content will provide us with a lot of money, maybe some, but it's probably I rather prefer reaching more people with my online videos for free than to have some money and just reach maybe 2%, 5%. I don't know. I've never tried it before. So, but one idea was to get. So one question that is still always on the back of my head is how to get the object to the public. But there was a lot of other very interesting ideas. I like the bike culture thing in Belgrade. Sounds very interesting. The outdoor exhibitions, and yeah, so the car concert. I've not heard about it, but we don't have a parking lot. But maybe we will make one for a car exhibition or something like that. Let's see. No, thank you all very much. And it's I think it's that input that is very important. Just the brainstorming and to hear others, and so that you're not stewing in your own soup and always hearing the same input, but have enlarge it a little bit more and hearing from other realities. That I think is the way to go.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Sandro. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. It feels very good to have so much openness and togetherness, really. This is the end of our community meetup. We will try to have one community meetup every 2 weeks. So if you have some suggestion of guest ideas, just write me a message or just post it on the online community. And yeah, we will actually post this video, which has been recorded, I think this weekend, or maybe Monday, or maybe before, let's see. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. We won't have time to do the checkout, so just bye-bye to everyone, and we meet online again. And thank you again to Sandro and David.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.